Welcome back to the Puck Bunker. I'm Rocco Zappia, joined as always by my co-host, the man who's might be getting a scary look into his future today, Darren Boyce. We have a special guest with us, Grant McCagg from Recrutes.ca. He just released his 2025 draft guide, and let me tell you, it is a good one. I just finished going through it this morning. Some phenomenal work, as always, from Grant.
You don't have to lie, Rocco. You haven't looked at it yet.
Oh, dude, I did look at it. I did look at it. We got Craig Button in there. We've got some. Trust me, I looked at it enough to pick a few questions out for you. So check that out if you haven't got it already. But we'll jump right into it. We're going to do all things Montreal Canadiens today. Grant is the grandfather of online coverage of the Habs. So perfect guy to pick his brain and get his opinions. Habs got 2 picks in the first round and a slew of others. So we'll get right into it now. Boyce may have to jump in and out. He has a newborn baby who is a little temperamental, if I do say so myself. So, Darren, I'm going to get right into it. Grant, give us your thoughts on the Montreal Canadiens' upcoming draft, specifically the first couple rounds, what you think you'd like to see them do and what you think they may do with these 2 picks here that are pretty important ones for them.
A lot of speculation there that, well, obviously they need a second-line center. And, the uncertainty of Kirby Dach getting injured again, and will he come back? And they're not banking on him, and I know you'd agree with it. They're not banking on Dach being the second line center next year. So with good reason, right? Blew out his knee twice. So they, I think, are in win now mode after making the playoffs and the big improvement that they made. And the prospect cupboard is really pretty stocked for the Canadiens. So do they have to? They have 7 picks in the top 82 of the draft, right? 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 3 in the third. They don't need to be lucky if 3 of those guys ever make the NHL with the amount of young talent that they have in the organization. So to me, it's an impossibility that they're going to make all 7 of those picks. And I think that they're going to dangle at least one of the first round picks, maybe both, depending. I mean, if they're, if miracle of miracles, they could get someone like Sidney Crosby. I know that's way out there in the lunar universe, but they'd have to give up those 2 first. Probably Logan Mailloux, probably Owen Beck. Something in that, would at least get them Dubas thinking if they do decide, hey, we need a full rebuild. As far as I'm concerned, that's what Pittsburgh needs to do, because they're not going to win any, over the next 5 years, I don't think. So I think they dangle at least one of them, and either a center like Beck or Kapanen or a defenseman like Struble or maybe Engstrom, good prospects or good defenseman that's playing in the NHL right now but may not have a spot long term. Dangle something like that to try to pick up, I don't know, I'll just throw a name out there, Bo Horvat. We'll see what the Islanders are going to do here. New GM, will they say, well, I mean, I don't think the Islanders are going to contend with what they have over the next couple of years either. And I think they need to retool. So, I think they're going to explore those possibilities and see if they can't find a second line center that can step in and help them now and help them compete more, because it was the glaring hole on their team at playoff time was just not having. I don't think Alex Newhook's the answer at second line center. So
no, and that's fair enough. And he's a good player, but it's a big role to ask. And hey, I've got no problem with Kirby Dach. The poor kid just can't stay on the ice. I mean, that's always been his biggest issue. More so, if you can criticize his play all you want, but if you're never able to get in the groove, that's not really a fair thing to do. So
he's kind of like Josh Norris. Yeah.
Kind of like Josh Norris. Absolutely. Do I need to relive that one? My goodness. So now let's say Montreal's able to go out and make a trade. They use one of the picks. and they're able to find a guy who would qualify as a second line center here for the upcoming season. Now, you've got one of the picks remaining, 16, 17. In a perfect world, who would you be looking for? Like, give a couple names that Montreal might be really seriously considering based on what they've already got in their system.
Well, the obvious one is Justin Carbonneau. I mean, they could use a 205-pound winger with a good shot, with a great shot that could score 30 plus goals if he puts it all together at the NHL level. He's not perfect. There are some warts there, but they are things. Oh, baby's crying, I guess. There are things that NHL scouts that I talk to, especially, just say, like, he translates to the NHL. He's just got to work harder away from the puck, and that's something that you can improve on, right, without it just being a matter of working a little harder. I think he finds the cue a little too easy at times, and he's just not as motivated as he could be. But if he gets picked by the Montreal Canadiens, right, a Quebecois there'd be no bigger motivation for him than to be playing on that team. And if he was lazy on the Canadiens, believe me, the fans and the media will let him know about it. So I think that is a serious consideration for them. But personally, if they only had one, it would be Prokhorov. I think that's the perfect fit. They need another. I just said Prokhorov there, Darren. They need another.
Just in time.
They need another big guy in the top 9, at least one. And Prokhorov's the biggest. I think I probably scouted him 40 of his games this year. Did a lot of video on him. He's not perfect, but he is impossible to move in front of the net. And when he's driving to the net, they can't stop him. He's already 220 pounds. I noticed at the combine bench press, he was one of the top 10, and it's per weight or whatever. So he must have done about 30 reps or whatever. He's just a big, strong boy that has really good hands in tight. Hits hard. He's one of the better hitters in the draft class. I compare him a bit to Chris Kreider. I see that type of player. I don't think he's going to be a big playmaker, but who cares, right? I mean, if you're 6'5", score goals, go to the net, hit like a brick shit house. Canadians need that, especially at playoff time. I think he's the ideal fit for them. I realize that a lot of public lists, I think probably including yours, don't have Prokhorov that high, and that's fine. But I do have backing with NHL scouts saying he could go anywhere after 12. And personally, I hope that he's there at 16 for the Canadiens, because I think that's the perfect fit. And I also think that Nick Bobrov, being one of the 2 head scouts in Montreal, he'll have more background information than I. I have no idea about this kid's character other than that he wore a C for the U18 national team when they played exhibition games, which tells me that the kid's got character. But he'll have all the background on this kid, and if he checks off all the boxes and they're comfortable with him, I could really see the Canadiens. I think they need to target specific needs and that will help them, because they've got enough talent. Kids like Demidov and Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Suzuki in the top 6. What they need is a big presence, and there's none. Personally, I don't think that qualify as a top 20 possibility. There's none bigger than Prokhorov.
Okay, now, boys, I'm going to let you go at this here and reply. But before you do, I think on this player specifically, this is the guy, Grant, and looking at your list and what we're working on right now, this is the guy that we definitely have the biggest discrepancy on. And you may have him higher than anyone really, and we may have him lower than anyone. So it's a good person to talk about. You have him at, spoiler alert, if that's okay. You have him ranked at 10th overall on your list. We currently have him somewhere just outside the first round. So Boyce, I give you that knowledge. I know you haven't had a chance to look at the draft guide yet, but Grant's got him 10th, and so I'll let you respond to that because I know this is a guy you've been pretty hard on this year.
I've been hard on, but I think I understand where he's coming from. I mean, he's a 6'6" massive guy who's really good in front of the net. Like, it's those type of players that they score in the playoffs. Like, I understand where he's coming from with that. My question mark is just his playmaking is not like and again, I know it's not, again, it's the development project, obviously. I just really question his, kind of awareness around the ice in general. And I think his defensive effort's kind of lacking. And I guess my question to you is why,
Don't agree.
Watched
Watched 40 games and no.
Oh, fair enough.
What's your question?
My question was why do you like him better than a guy like Nestrasil, for instance, who's kind of jumped up the rankings at maybe a bit of, more of a shot to them. It's a similar type of player, even, maybe another, if they have 2 picks there. So maybe if they're going to take a shot on a guy like a Mason West, even like what's the difference between those guys that you think that you like him so much better?
Well, he's 220 pounds. Nestrasil is what, 180?
Yeah.
So he's got 40 pounds on him. There's a start. Nestrasil can be moved from in front of the net, and this kid can't. I also, he played with 2 wingers. They had him on the second line with a 5'7" player that had 13 points, and the other kid was no better. They like, he ran that line, and he, I mean, he would set up guys, but they couldn't finish. They're no good. They stuck him on the second line because I think he just made it so much better just by himself. When he played for the national team and was on the first line, he got an assist every game, making nice plays. He does set up players, but when you've got a 5-goal scoring 5'7" setter, you can only I think people looked a little too much at just his assist total and not his actual game. Like, I don't think anybody scouted him 40 games other than myself. And he's not going to be a 50 assist guy. But again, is Chris Kreider a great playmaker? No. Well, was Chris Kreider a good pick at 19 in the draft? I think he's first all-time playoff.
Yeah, really hard.
I think he's first all-time in playoff goals for the Rangers. He's third all-time in goals. This is before he got traded. Like, he should have been a top 5 pick as things turned out. And I really see this kid he skates really well for his size. He skates better than Nestrasil does.
Yep.
And he's got 40 pounds on him. Well, wait till he's going to be even better 3 years from now. I don't, I mean, I get the point about but sometimes you can focus a little too much on one weakness or perceived weakness and think, okay, well, yeah, but if everything else is, you check everything else off. All right. So you got a kid that's not going to be a 40 assist guy, but if he scores 30 goals, is the most physical presence. Like, I can see him and Slavkovsky, you back to back, you put one guy out, boom, bam, boom, put the other guy out, especially at playoff time. I think that's exactly what they need. We saw against Washington, they couldn't compete with their physicality, their size. I think this is the guy that they need. Yeah, he's not perfect, but I don't think this is a very deep draft. And personally, I think that he'll be a 25 to 35 goal behemoth out there. And that to me is is a crucial piece for a team like Montreal.
I guess my follow up to that is, you mentioned Chris Kreider maybe as a comparable. Are there any other kind of, I guess, players that have kind of like a similar kind of drafty or development model as him, where it's, he's this big guy, but maybe he's a little bit raw, maybe offensively, and is, seeing the ice that way? Is there any other kind of comparables you've had in the past that way?
Well, I don't agree that he doesn't see the ice well. I think I see him make plays. I see him make plays, but he does want to score goals. Like, you get him the puck and around the net, and he wants me go net, me score a goal. Like, that's his attitude. I don't have an issue with that. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, you can make all the pretty passes you want. Still got to be put in the net. This kid will put it in the net, and he can't be stopped a lot of times. And so I can't think of too many comparables.
Yeah.
But it's because he's a bit of a unicorn, but he's 3 inches taller than Kreider too. So 6'5.5" version of Chris Kreider. I want him.
This guy's a massive human being. Like, there's no denying he has the tools to be a good player. Like, this guy has multiple elite tools, and I can see that. But we even mentioned too, Rocco, one thing was underrated. Like, if you actually watch his wraparound ability, it was really good too.
Oh,
really good around the net.
Oh, certainly.
He's got very good hands. He's got really good hands in close. He scored some nice goals in there, and that's Kreider, and he's very good at screening the goalie. Like, there's not a better player in this draft class at screening the goalie. He can tip pucks. He can get rebounds and put them in, or he gets the puck. He does he stands at the side and puts a stick out. You pass it to him, and he does a wraparound, and they can't stop him. He gets to the front of the net, and sometimes you think, well, he could pass there, but you know what? I'm fine with it. Him wanting to score goals. I think that's Cole Caulfield has the same affliction, and he's learned as he's gotten older to pass more often too, right? To defer. And I think it's just going to be a matter of maturity for him, because I think he sees the ice okay. I really do. I think the low assist totals are more a product of his line mates than of his perceived inability to see the ice.
I guess my last follow-up will be, you were talking about maybe Montreal might trade the pick. If they don't trade it, since they would have 2 picks in a row, is there maybe another guy with him that you would like them to draft? Is there just maybe another combination of guys that might,
Carbonneau.
Yeah, Carbonneau, you wanted to, like, that would be would that be your ideal 2 pick?
I think they should pick Prokhorov, Carbonneau, and Van Sage and just say, okay, problem solved. Now, even if only 2 of the 3 pan out, they've got tons more size in their top 9.
I really do like the size component there. I'm a big fan of that, so that's good.
So let's leave open the possibility that Carbonneau's not available. Give us one more name other than Carbonneau and Prokhorov, because I mean, like, realistically, there's I'd say 50-50 chance Carbonneau's drafted by the time Montreal steps up to the podium there the first time. So if he's gone, maybe. Is there any chance that they take a defenseman, or are you looking for another forward?
I think they deal the pick if in that, it's going to be reliant to a certain degree. I think what they'll do is, say, well, we'll do this deal if players we want aren't there, right?
Yeah.
I think Carbonneau is a target for them. I mean, how long has it been since they drafted a first round Quebecer, that Quebecois, that actually produced for them? I mean, they picked Louis LeBlanc 15 years ago. That didn't work out, right? But it would be a nice story, and he would be a motivated kid. Haven't really, I mean, you just go for the BPA at that point. Whoever's top on their list. If it's not Carbonneau and Prokhorov, and they are keeping the pick, whoever drops, like I can't predict that. Like, I'd take Cameron Reed. I think he'll be a great I think he'll be a great defenseman. I'd take Aegison, even though they got tons of left defensemen. Get the BPA at whoever's left that's top on their list. Carter Bear, if he somehow drops because of the injury, even McQueen. Like, it could be a possibility that McQueen, because of his injury, drops to there, and then, well, that takes care of the size component, right? That I talked about. Even though I don't think he necessarily uses his size as much as he could, that could be just a maturity thing. I'm not the biggest McQueen guy, but if he's there at 16 or 17,
kind of have to.
You kind of have to take him.
Hard not to take that swing there.
Yeah. Especially with having 2 picks, right? I think that they're in the spot where they can sort of take a, boom or bust home run type swing with one of them. And that would be, if he's there, would be McQueen in the top 20.
Now, I've noticed that someone who's consistently started climbing up your list the second half of the year has been Riker Lee. And you finished.
You're going to say Nestrasil. Okay.
No, Nestrasil as well, but we kind of chatted about him a little bit. And like, he's a guy, I mean, both those guys really have been second half risers for most people. What is it about Riker Lee that has you have him ranked in the 20s? And I won't spoil the exact ranking, but he's a first rounder for you.
Yeah.
Did you see enough in development in the skating department there to have you convinced?
Yeah. Well, I do rely on opinions of NHL scouts in my rankings. They're the ones seeing these guys in the arenas every night, and have a better. You can get a better feel for a player skating, I think, seeing him live than watching video. And they have told me that his skating really improved in the second half, and that really was the only concern that people had. But the other thing too is that, and I didn't know early on, was that he's had a growth spurt the last couple of years. He was like 5'8", 5'9", and now he's over 6 feet.
Yeah.
And it was one of the reasons why his skating at the start of the year maybe wasn't as good as you'd like to see, because he was, he had that growth spurt, and you have to fill out, grow into your body, as they say. And his skating improved a lot during the year, is what they've been telling me. Personally, I couldn't see a huge difference in the skating. I thought it was fine, at like good enough from day one, but I did dock him early on because some of the comments I got, skating's ugly feet, this and that. Well, by the end of the year, they had changed their tune on that. And it was the only thing, because personally, like, his competitiveness, his puck skills, his smarts, shot, like, I liked it all right from day one, but it was the skating that needed to come around, and by all accounts it did, and that's the main reason why up he went as the year went along.
Well, I think with his hands, right? I mean, with his hands and his offensive sense and ability in that zone, if he can get the skating to good enough, then that's going to be good enough, I think, for a guy like that, because everything else across the board is so high end that I think there is.
He may go top 20.
I don't love guys who are slow footed, but there's a guy who has the elite traits across the other areas to make up for something that's maybe a perceived major deficiency. And again, like you said, he just grew 5 inches in the last year or two. So there's probably some strength to catch up there that will naturally improve that foot speed for him on his own. Darren, you got some input for
just wanted to ask, when a player has a growth spurt like that, kind of near their draft season, how much stock do scouts take into that? Just because they're, there's usually kind of have to catch up with coordination, or you say with skating, for instance, that's probably part of it. Like, you have to kind of catch up with, your coordination and your strength that way when you grow 4 or 5 inches, right? So I'm just wondering how much they, take that into account.
Oh, quite a bit, I think, I mean, it's all a guessing game to a certain degree. You can only right, but yeah, I mean, as scouts like, if there's a kid that's fully developed already at 17, 16, they almost prefer the kid that's gangly but has a good frame that they know is going to put on another 20, 25 pounds, because there's so much unprojected upside there, right? Like a kid like Carbonneau, he's not going to get any bigger probably. So he's not going to likely improve his skating a whole pile, gets much stronger. But as opposed to a kid like Nestrasil or this kid, like, and Lee might, typically when you have these growth spurts at this age, sometimes you're not done either, right? His growth plates could still be open. He's 6'1", 6'1.5" by the time he's done. And then he fills out and his skating improves. He could be quite it wouldn't shock me if he went top 20. I think anywhere after 15, like most drafts, there'll be picks that you'll go, oh, he wasn't that high on public lists or whatever. But as you know, Rocco, NHL lists are a lot different than public lists. It would shock you how different the NHL teams are, and just among NHL teams too. There'll be teams that have a guy ranked 12th that another team has 30, and vice versa. It's so yeah. I think that Lee is somebody could go anywhere from 15 to 30. I think.
So one more question about your draft list here, and then we'll move on to some other things, because I know Darren will want to have his say on this one. Henry Brustevich, Grant. I'd say you have certainly lower than us, and probably lower than the average. What kind of gave you a little bit of concern for him? And not that you have him crazy low; it's still a second rounder, but he seems to be a guy that's debated at this point. Really, there's not a lot of consensus on where he's going to end up. So, what were your feelings there? Because I know Boyce has him quite a bit higher for sure.
Yeah,
I'm kind of somewhere between the two of you.
The Sam O'Reilly of this draft class, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the London bias there. No,
I do have a London bias. I'll fully admit that. That's,
yeah. Well, you see him a lot, right? I just, I can watch a game and maybe hear his name once, like the whole game. Like he's not that involved. He's not very physical. He's got size, but he's got to fill out some, obviously. Seen him fight a couple times, but as an NHL scout pointed out to me, you fight twice a year, or you hit every game. Which would an NHL team prefer, right? They would prefer the guy that hits, not the guy that can fight, that can handle himself. Because you don't, in the NHL, you might do it once or twice a year. So there's questions about his physicality, which I see and I get. I don't think he's overly hard. Nice skater. I don't think he'll be a point producer in the NHL. I don't see he's kind of like the Daniel Prokhorov on defense, as far as moving the puck goes. No, I'm just kidding there. He'll get he gets some power play time, but I think it's more of a default thing than him actually being. I don't think he'll be a power play guy at the NHL level. So, at the end of the day, you've got a 6'1.5" or 3/4 mobile defenseman that's not overly physical, that won't get you a lot of points. He'll play in the NHL. Will he be a top 4 guy? Maybe. Obviously, there's the London thing where you say, well, they'll develop him. He'll be a star in a year or two, and in junior, and then make the jump. So there will be teams, and he'll go higher than I've ranked him likely. But there are NHL scouts, and I mean, quite a few that wouldn't take him in the first 2 rounds. Like, I kind of did a balance thing there of, you guys loving him so much, and I know one scout that thinks he's probably top 40, but other guys would not draft him before the 3rd round. Call him vanilla. And whenever you get that word for a defenseman, it's never a good thing. So I think he's overrated because of the London factor, but we'll see. I thought O'Reilly last year, and he certainly came on. His skating came on. So, but you can't. That's just that's not how you do it. You don't go by what another guy does. It's the individual himself, and that's why he's not top 40 on my rankings.
Boyce, anything to say to that?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Well, not gonna get in an argument or anything. It's just I did watch him a lot this year, and to start the year he improved a lot from the previous season. Like he had some issues with decision making last year, and then he ended up playing forward actually late in the year for them. So I mean, I don't want to say that my expectations were low, but I mean they weren't. I didn't have a lot of expectations for what the player was going to be this year. And I kind of watched in the first couple of games. He's doing good things out there. I disagree with his physicality. I don't think he's hammering guys, but I think he's more than physical enough when I see him play. I also disagree with the offensive side of that. I don't think he really had much of a chance to be running the power play. When he did, I actually thought he was doing good things out there. One thing that he did actually quite well, I really liked, is he was actually good at getting shots through, which even Sam Dickinson kind of struggles with at times, where he just fires one-timers into guys' chests, basically. Like, that does happen at times. Look, I understand there isn't an elite
Sam Dickinson,
Grant and Sam Dickinson, not the
Sam Dickinson's not.
I like Sam Dickinson, but I understand too. Like, there's some flaws in the player. Like, I understand that.
Right.
Like, some people are really high on him. I feel like I'm fairly realistic with him for the most part.
Fair enough.
I mean, there isn't the thing with Brusevich is not that elite skill, right? Like, I think that's what you're probably more pointing to there. It's like nothing really stands out to you that you're excited about. I think that would probably be the way to define
vanilla
him.
part of it there.
Yeah, I think that's the way to define. But I think he does everything fairly well. That would be my conclusion to that. The last thing is too, when London had everyone go to the World Juniors, I thought him and O'Reilly were their best players. And I thought they beat some good teams, and he was their number one defenseman, and he looked really good in those situations. And even in the Memorial Cup, like, he played again later in the year tournament, late in the playoffs, like, he was playing as much or more than Cam Allen was. And like, Cam Allen's a 19-year-old, drafted player. And he was playing more situations than him. So, I mean, I'm not saying that guy's an elite prospect, but I mean, it is noteworthy that he continued to, Dale Hunter's trusting him in those minutes. I think that's kind of what I got. And it's the same as last year with O'Reilly, right? Like, Dale keeps putting him on the ice, Now I will clamor for Sam O'Reilly more than Brustevich. I mean, I really like O'Reilly, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I understand. Like, again, I don't have a problem with anyone putting Brustevich he doesn't. I could see him not being in the first round. We just did a mock, and I basically took him 31st, I think, in our mock. But it would be very reasonable that he's not in the first round. I don't think it's far-fetched. I mean, it depends what teams really want with that pick. If I could follow up another question with you, actually, for the guys. So I know there's like debate about this, or even now with, you notice kind of with scouting that teams are kind of looking for specializations of skills. When there's a guy who's kind of good at everything but not elite, do they stray away from that now, or is there a specific, is there one skill they really want to hone in on those guys that, maybe that would be, for their development, I guess, is there, what would they prefer from that player?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think when it comes to first rounders, they like there to be at least one elite quality. I hear that from scouts quite often, that you like them to have at least one special skill, an attribute that stands out, that gives you a reason to think, okay, he's got the upside to be a first round pick. And he, Bristowich, I think, will go anywhere from probably 25 to 50, somewhere in there. He's one of those guys where I find it hard to predict where he'll go. And I thought the same way about O'Reilly, but yeah, because of the Hunter factor, wouldn't be surprised if he went at the end of the first round. And because I don't think there's going to be a pile of defensemen taken in the first, and teams are always looking for defensemen, and every year there's defensemen drafted higher than I think they should be, and that might be the case with Bristowich. I mean, he certainly got lots of views, right? There's no lack of exposure there. So if a team thinks like you do, about him, as opposed to what I might think, then yeah, I could see him going higher than the 50th ranked where I have him.
So I'm going to give you, because you mentioned Boyce, and that's a great follow-up question because it leads into exactly what I was going to bring up. Last year, and I know, Grant, that they're different, and the guy last year probably had more points and that sort of thing, but just a guy that was last year, we watched him several times live, and he was always good, but what's his identity? What's his elite skill? Or is he just a bit of a jack of all trades that ends up being a tweener? And it's a guy that ended up going fairly late in the draft versus what he performed this year, and that's Luca Morelli at Oshawa, right? So I don't know if you see any similarities in that sense to Brustevich, where it's like Morelli last year, and I get that he was really good on the power play always, but what was the elite skill? Because he was kind of just pretty good at everything. And the defenseman on his team, Danford, we kind of went back and forth between the two of them all year. One game Morelli looks better, one game Danford looks better. And Danford, who has a clear identity as a player, as a shutdown guy, ends up as a first rounder, and Morelli drops to round 3 because it's like, yeah, he's pretty good at everything, but where's the elite trait? So I don't know, Grant, if you see any similarities in that sense to Brustevich in terms of where he may be ranked and drafted, but that's kind of a takeaway that I always keep in mind. I always find those jack of all trades types kind of slip, and it is the guys with a clear identity who teams tend to take a chance on higher up. But I'll get your thoughts on that.
Right. Well, Morelli had 51 assists last year.
Yeah.
And ran their power play, and I think he had that a more of an offensive identity than Bristowich, and that would be, I think, the difference. He went 80, in the 80s. I had him ranked actually ahead of Danford.
And
I think you could probably argue it today that maybe he should have gone ahead of Danford, but hey, Toronto got him, so it's all good.
Well, he's going to be in Toronto, so that means he's going to be a star, right? I'm sure he'll set some CHL record next year that TSN will play every single day instead of actual NHL highlights. But I digress about that. Cool. So now, in terms of Montreal, let's get back to Montreal for a little bit. We covered their draft. What are you looking for from them, I guess, in terms of free agency and the offseason? And I know second line center is the biggest priority there right now, but aside from internal growth of the young players and natural progression in that sense, what would constitute to you a successful offseason for the Montreal Canadiens?
Yeah. Well, getting a bidding war with the Senators over Mitch Marner.
All yours, man. You have him.
Go for it.
Yeah.
You take him.
I guess that was big news yesterday that he's officially not going to be returning to the Leafs. Eh?
Oh, was
So
that was a big secret, I guess, eh?
Yeah, really. When they're throwing, his jerseys on the ice,
it's a tough look.
Like, see you later.
I'm like, look, I'm clearly not the biggest Mitch Marner fan, but I think that's piss poor etiquette by the Leafs fans there.
Oh, I can't blame him for leaving at all.
Oh,
You know,
why would the hell would he want to be there when it's
no,
supposed to be a
exactly.
hometown boy? And look, I get he underperformed, but like, come on, man, he's a kid at the end of the day playing in his home. I get they paid enough money to deal with this kind of stuff, but throwing jerseys on the ice, booing the kid off. I mean, that's why no one wants to play there.
No, I'm glad that he's leaving. I think that's the best decision for him. Get out of the fishbowl, right? Go out
He'll
west
be a guy.
somewhere.
He'll be a guy that thrives in a city where he can go to the grocery store on his own.
I think so, and you may even see him do something at playoff time with another team where there's less pressure, and we'll see. I mean, we saw it in the Four Nations Cup. I thought he made some big plays and big moments, and it wasn't Toronto, right? So we'll see with Marner, but it's interesting. One of the if they think that there's someone that they can target in free agency, and fill that second line center role, and not have to trade their assets, then they may keep all of their picks and not go that route. But that's tough. There's no guarantees with free agency. You're bidding against, like Sam Bennett, for instance, would be, I think, the perfect signing for them in the off season. But there's going to be, I think there might be a couple teams after him.
I don't think
he'd be a good fit for them,
including Florida.
Now, I'll say this about Marner, because I do think you look at Phil Kessel when he was in Toronto, expected to be the man. He's just not. That's just not who he is. But he could be maybe the best support piece going, right? And you saw that in the Four Nations when he's playing with McDavid, and you don't have to carry the load. You can just go be the best. And I don't mean perimeter in a negative sense for one, but be the best kind of perimeter playmaking winger that there is, right? And if you're in a situation where there's a guy there who can actually carry the load for you, like a McDavid, like a McKinnon, a Kopitar, Barkov, pretty much anyone other than Matthews, you might find a little more success the same way Kessel did alongside Crosby and Malkin, right?
I was going to say, until you brought up Matthews there, you were kind of that obviously was taking a shot at him, and I agree 100%.
Well, he doesn't want it enough, so.
Well, wouldn't it be ironic if he just went to Carolina and has his best playoff series ever against the Leafs?
He will. He would.
That's literally what's going to happen.
Carolina would be the fit.
Maybe.
Carolina or Anaheim. Carolina or Anaheim. Anaheim is building the biggest team in the face of the planet. There's a guy that you can stick a small skill guy, and I know he's 6 foot, but in my mind he plays like he's 5'9". So, like, you can stick a small skill guy in that Anaheim lineup and have success.
Carolina. What they have, Blake, Jarvis, and
they're small.
Yeah, I don't think
they're scrappy though.
They are.
Yeah,
they're small.
They're not soft.
I don't. Well, I don't think they're.
They're
I mean, they got Rantanen, right, for a reason.
Yeah.
Like they'd have done better in the playoffs if, with Rantanen. Then no disrespect to Stankoven, but they targeted Rantanen for a reason because they needed to be bigger in the top 6, and Marner would not make them bigger in the top 6. So I don't see that as a fit for them. But I think he probably goes out west somewhere and just get away from as far away from the fishbowl and not having to go into Toronto. But you never know. He might say, no, I'm going to Ottawa, and it'll be the Battle of Ontario every year. And, you never know, Rocco. You might have to become a Marner fan.
You know what? No, depends what we're paying him. If it's $14 million, I'm sorry. I just don't want to spend that. I just don't want to disperse my money in a salary world that way. My money, my theoretical money, where I'm a billionaire and I own the team, or your GM or whatever. But like, I just don't. 14 mil, man, like that's tough, which is why Anaheim might be a good fit because they got so many young guys who are cost controlled. You can manage that number. I don't think in Ottawa it would work. It would end up costing you someone down the road. And like, look, you saw it in Toronto. You're too top heavy with your salary, and your bottom six and your bottom couple D get pummeled, and you can last around against a younger team. And then you play a seasoned team, and your weaknesses are exposed. So for me, 14 million is just not the number for that guy. For me, as much as he could have success in the right situation. Obviously, he's one of the most talented players in the world. There's no denying that.
What do you think, Darren?
Well, I don't think he's a fit for the Sens, but I mean, there's a couple teams he could. I mean, Anaheim might be a fit. Like some of those teams growing, still growing into it, but like.
Sens don't need scoring.
They need scoring, but we need depth. Like we need NHL players. Like I don't know if we again, as you said, like 14 million. Like we're gonna lose guys out of that, and we're still gonna be top. I mean, we don't have prospect depth to begin with. So I mean, we're not really in a great position to kind of. It would work if we had a boatload of prospects. So maybe Montreal would actually work better. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's just it would work if we had some cheap guys coming up, which I'm just.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'll go my London bias here. Love Blake Montgomery. Like, I don't know if that's really, we just got him and like Holiday basically, and Yakimchuk would. I don't know more guys.
Ehlers would be a nice ad for Ottawa, I think.
Yeah, again, that's it
won't cost you
$8 million.
What?
What would you want? 8-7 million?
9.
Yeah,
8 or 9.
Yeah,
7, 8,
I mean, it's more reasonable anyway with the cap going
exactly.
Up. It's
14's
too much. Like you can get 2 players for that are a little more effective that way. But I mean, he's a good player. What about Vegas? Like I heard, like maybe.
But that's it, Darren. Right? Like you just said yourself, like 14 million there. Like you can get Ehlers, even if you have to pay him 9 in free agency to come to Canada and pay the taxes and play in the media spotlight. Not that Ottawa is crazy like Toronto, but it'd be similar to Winnipeg probably, and you still have $5 or $6 million left over to go get another.
You sign a veteran for a 3 or 4 year deal or something like that for 6 or 7 like that. Yeah.
You go out and get a Fabro, or you pay Orlov for a couple of years or something, right? Like
that's the other thing. We need a right hand defenseman. Like that's another thing too. Like,
always need a right hand defenseman. Everyone needs a right hand defenseman.
Yeah, I don't see Yakimchuk's a year or 2 away. I think.
Yeah, he's a year away for
Yeah.
Give him a little more time. Cool, that's great, Darren. You got any more questions for Grant here, Montreal related, or and then otherwise I got one or two more, but that's about it.
Well, I was just again with their. I guess they have those second round. They have 2 picks in the 40s, I think. You mentioned one guy, Van Saggy, but I think he may go higher than that. I mean, are there some guys there that you're interested in as well? Just maybe some, later in the 40s types guys that interest you?
Well, I think, what the Canadiens could do, having 7 picks in the top 82, Van Saggy could go around 35. Well, you offer pick 41 and one of their 3 third-rounders. There might be a team that there are teams that have only 1 or 2 picks in the top 90 that probably wouldn't mind picking up another, a couple more. So I think that they can. What they can do is target certain guys, and okay, we think Van Saggy, and I don't disagree. Van Saggy may go early in the second. Well, move up. They've got the pieces, right? I think they have so many good young prospects and under 24 core. Their under 24 core is, I think, maybe the best in the league. It's top 3 for sure. There are, you make 7 picks in the top 82, maybe 3, at most 4 ever play for the Canadiens. So why not go for quality over quantity and do some moving, utilize that depth of picks that they have to move up and get who you really think you need. And Other than Ben Saggy, they might, given like how they think and the Bobrov, the whole works, I think that they go after needs sometimes at that point, and they may go with a goalie.
Interesting.
Good ones.
Interesting.
They've got so much depth on up front and on defense that if they're making their third or fourth pick, it could be like that 6-foot goalie, a Russian goalie, Andreyanov,
yeah,
with the .942 save percentage.
Yeah, he's good. He's really
Again, it's a Bovrov type pick. If that's him being Russian, having all those connections, he'll know him inside out, do all the homework. I could see them doing, if they keep the 4 picks, or even if they only 3 of their top 4, targeting Frolov or Andreyanov at with one of those picks in the 40s if they're available.
See, I like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
Big Frolov guy, Darren Boyce.
I like Andreyanov too. They're both good. They're both
Yeah.
good. They're a little bit different, but they're good.
Frolov is Boyce's top rank. Boyce likes Frolov better than
He's
Ravensburg.
a freak athlete, though. That's why. It's just
he
I
is.
can't move that way. I just watch him move. I'm just like, yeah.
Ravensburgen's I know he was first round all year type thing, but NHL teams cooled a bit on him finally. Just he lets in a soft. I hate goalies that let in soft goals, and he does that.
Pucks go through him.
Yes.
That's
And
I noticed that too. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't like goalies with holes in them.
That was Devin Dubnyk forever. Big
shot
clock goalie that had holes under his arms for sure. Grant, last one for you here for my end. Let's look outside of most lists now. Like everyone has a good handle on the top 75 guys or so in whatever order we have them. Do you have any like super deep sleepers, like someone that people may not even heard of yet, that's likely going to go after round 3 or 4, like a true deep sleeper that you think has a chance to make it and make an impact at the NHL one day?
Oh yeah, I've got lots of those.
Give us a couple names here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Mads Clevo is the obvious one for me. I love him. And Darren would know, following me as closely as he does on Twitter there, that I like him quite a bit. He might go in the second round, maybe, but he wasn't invited to the combine. So that usually gives you an indication that he won't go in the top 60. He came on like gangbusters as year went along, and I think he'll be an NHLer, and I think he'd be a fantastic pick in the third round. Kid that I came across later, you could scout. There's not enough hours in the day. Like I'm discovering guys. I'll be discovering guys between now and draft day. There's no shit. That guy should have been on my rankings, but this kid, you don't always, you tend to focus on the draft eligible guy, first time draft eligible guys. But this guy, he was second or third in Finland in scoring in junior. He was the top scorer in the playoffs too. And he's a 06, 6'1", 190 pounds. Had a look at him late, and oh my goodness, this guy is really, really good. Every one of his points in the playoffs, he had 15 points. Every one of them was primary.
Pretty good.
Leo Tuva, Tuuva. 2006. I think he's the best junior in Finland, like in the junior league there, and that's over guys that were drafted fairly high last year, like a few, and I didn't see a better player in Finnish Junior than Leo Tuva, and to me, he's the real sleeper. I did get some backing. Said, yeah, he's on our list. One NHL scout revealed that to me. So he's probably going, and it might be 4th round on. But I see NHL upside there all day with this kid.
Now, who do you think might be a guy who falls, who everyone and their grandmother has ranked high, that may just see himself? And a lot of times it says nothing about the kid. It's just a situation where a team likes one guy more.
Well,
who do you think might maybe has a chance to be a faller on draft day?
Well, I'm always careful with that because there's no master list, right?
Yeah.
Like a faller, according to what? Like Central Scouting?
Yeah,
I guess, like, I don't know if you did if you took a survey of all of the independent lists that you see, and maybe Hagens is top 4, top 5. That's a guy that I think may drop. He may not go till 10. Anywhere from 8 to 10. I know NHL guys.
Interesting.
And I'm the same.
Very.
I have a top 7, and there's a tier, and he's not in that top 7.
Can I follow up on that?
Yeah.
So with those I guess the scouts you've talked to with him, do they think he's a center or they think he's a winger?
Well, I think he's a winger. They think he's a winger. We all think he's a winger.
Okay. Okay. I thank you. I just wanted to confirm that. Yeah.
Well, I went to the gold medal game in Ottawa there, and I did not see a guy that I liked away from the puck.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah. I don't think he can handle big centers in his own zone, and that he'll be better served, just like Will Smith. And I said the same thing about Will Smith. He's probably best being on the wing, and let him do his offensive thing. Let him stand at the opponent's blue line, or never get introduced to his goalie till after the game when they come back, and let him do his thing. But Hagens is a little, like, he comes back. He's not as bad as Will Smith was when it comes to back checking and stuff. But yeah, I don't think he's big enough and strong enough and physical enough to handle top 2 centers. You're going to want him in your top 6 for sure. Especially you take him 7th overall or 8th overall. You don't pick third liners, right? And I don't know that he can be a top 2 center in the NHL. I don't know that it translates unless it's a team like, I think Nashville might consider him at 5, because I think that he might just, because they don't have any, they have never picked. I tweeted this out last week. They've never drafted a player who scored 65 points for them in 27 years of drafting. Never picked a player that scored 65 points. Philip Forsberg
that's pathetic.
Wasn't drafted by them.
Guys.
That's pathetic.
Legwand, I think, was the high at 62 or something like that. Arvidsson had 61 or 62. That's the high watermark for them. Hagens can be a 70-point scorer, I think, in the NHL. He's got that. Obviously, 21 points in his underage year at the U18s. We saw it there. There's a lot of offensive ability there. So maybe Nashville takes him at 5, but I don't see Philly at 6. I don't see Boston at 7. He may drop to 8 to 10. Like, If a team wants Mertka or Smith at 8 or 9 and say, well, no, we need this piece, you could see him go to 10 or even 11 on draft day. It's a possibility. He's the one guy I think that could drop that people don't expect.
Something Rocco and I had noticed that a lot of people wanted to kind of dock Eklund for being smaller, but then they kind of ignored the same issue with Hagens, even though he is actually smaller, or smaller in height.
True.
Like I don't know. It's just if he's not a center, like I agree with you. Like if the teams don't think he's a center, like the centers are going to go ahead of him. Like that's just what's going to happen. So
yeah. So like Porter Martone, you get a 6'3" winger or a 5'10.5" winger that are probably going to be close in point totals. Well, they're going to take the 6'3" winger, even though Martone has some things he needs to clean up as well, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, if at the end of the day he's a 5'10.5" winger, is he as good as we'll bring up this name again, Mitch Marner? Then maybe you pick him that high, but there are some similarities to Marner, I would say. But Mitch Marner is a world-class penalty killer. I don't ever see this guy being that. I think Marner's a better player. So, yeah, at the end of the day, if you project him as a 2 to 4 winger, 5'10.5", I don't know that he can be. Maybe on a poor team, he can be the top winger, but somewhere in there, that slots you 8 to 12, I think, somewhere.
I can't get over that Nashville stat. Never drafted a 65 point. That's pathetic.
They drafted a D that got that many points.
Oh no, Weber and they drafted some
Weber
great
and
defensemen.
Yeah.
Weber and
Yossi.
Suter, Ekholm, Suter, Jones, Seth Jones.
Yeah.
They went, and then you trade those two guys too. They're an example of a team, where they made some smart decisions where you don't look at need, right? You pick the best player on the board, and what they did with Jones, he was, the BPA. A lot of people thought he was going first overall that year. He ended up going second, certainly top 2, but he's there at 4. You tick him, even though you got Ekholm, you've got Josie, you've got Ellis, you've got Weber at the time. They picked the BPA, and they turned around and got what became their first line center, even though Ryan Johansson wasn't an elite first line center, but they turned that into an asset that they weren't going to get at the draft at 4. They weren't going to be able to fill that first line center spot anytime soon.
No, that's fair enough. So James Hagens could be the follow. So you're talking about a group of 7 that'd be in some order: Schaefer, Misa, Desnoyers, Martone, Frondell, O'Brien, and Brady Martin.
Yep, that's the 7. Yeah. Those are the 7 guys that I think have the best chance of going into top 7.
That's wild. James Hagens fell to 8. That'd be quite a story in this draft class. Boyce, you got anything else for Grant before we sign off?
Well, the last question actually had to do with, I'm going to go, it's a kind of a Caleb Denway question, kind of the internet scouts. How do NHL teams kind of gauge on ice intelligence, 200-foot game intelligence around the ice versus, what's the discrepancy there that maybe some internet scouts are missing with that type of skill set? Because he seems to be a bit controversial with people online, and I think it's more because he doesn't really have the flash of some of these guys. Whereas if you actually watch the game behind, he does, everything well, like everything really well. And even with him, I see a lot of growth potential in him too, because he is actually quite physical, but he's 175 pounds at the moment. He's going to play at like 205, 210. But I guess that's my question. Like, how heavily do NHL teams kind of rate that skill set, that intelligence aspect of the game?
It's very important, and it's one of the tougher things to rank or to rate. I think you have to view a player multiple times for sure to get a real sense of his, unless it just sticks out, obviously. But for me, he's top 5 easily in the hockey sense, and probably top 3 in this draft class. He away from the puck, with the puck, it doesn't matter. He's highly intelligent. He's going to be a top 2 center all day for me. I don't think there's even a question. And I've heard that San Jose may take him too. Like, that's not out of the question. So NHL teams, like him. Yeah, he's highly intelligent. I love he rarely makes a poor decision. Like, it's just, he gets the puck and he makes the right play every friggin' time. I just love the kid. I really do.
We had multiple viewings where we just watched that. It's just like right play. Like, it's just constant. Yeah.
He makes the least mistakes out of anyone. I think maybe Schaefer might be right there with him, but that, he hardly makes an error ever. Like, it's wild. And I feel like he's had a hard time getting the credit he deserved this year.
Yeah. Even though he, topped second in scoring in the queue.
First in playoff scoring.
Second in scoring in the playoffs, won the playoff MVP. I don't get it. Why
he was the best player on the best team in his league. So
yeah, well, and he's got 25 pounds he's going to put on, as you say, Yet he's already physical. Well, wait till he's a man. Yeah. You talk about Montreal, that'd be
the dream.
It'd be a great fit for them. They could somehow do something there, but I mean, I don't think
here's 16, here's 17, here's Struble, here's Beck. Give us Denwyer. Like, I would offer a lot to move up to get him for sure.
I love it. Grant, thanks for joining us. This has been awesome. It's been nice to have you on and get to do these with you again. And it's scary looking at you too. The similarities. I love it though. I absolutely love it. Boyce, get back to your daughter. I'm glad that she was able to give us an hour here. So tell her thank you for keeping her voice down during this recording. Grant, we really appreciate you joining us, and we'll have to do this again after the draft and get your thoughts on Montreal. So thanks both of you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, nice to finally meet you, Darren, even if it's online.
Well, hopefully we can do it again. Thanks for coming on.
Next time you're in Ottawa, we got to get together for a powwow.
Oh yeah, maybe we can go to a Gatineau game.
That'd be great.
I love it. See you guys. Thanks.
Right, see you later.